Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 491. And in today's episode, I want to talk about how to stop self-sabotage. You have to really get this very clear in your mind and apply exactly what I'm going to say if you really want to be far more aligned with your desires, far more aligned with your goals and outcomes. Sometimes a little bit of resistance can totally throw you off course. In fact, just that little bit might totally just cause you to feel like giving up. So we want to be able to be clear of self-sabotage. So when you think of your goal and outcome, there are a few things that we have to discuss and consider when it comes to making them achievable, making sure that you can get exactly what you want. Yes, you need to take action. Yes, you need to be really letting go of your blocks, but this episode is definitely going to show you even the better ways to let go of self-sabotage. First of all, what is self-sabotage? Well, ultimately, you're sabotaging yourself, and it may not be conscious. That's an important point. You might be unconsciously self-sabotaging yourself, which causes more pain or more scarcity or more emotional conflict, which will then have a feedback loop to self-sabotage more. So self-sabotage, you will do it for lots of different reasons. And usually, and it sounds ironic or counterintuitive, the intention of self-sabotage is some form of self-preservation and protection. Let's go into that a little bit. Let's just say you have a desire to achieve a certain goal. But along the way, if you think about that goal, there are some negative drawbacks. You might be going, look, Joseph, there's no negative drawbacks to my goal. Well, the chances are there will be. And if you're unaware of those drawbacks, or even if it's just one, that's going to actually cause you to go out of alignment and feel more resistance or self-sabotage. Let's just say, for example, you want to earn X amount of $1,000 per month. You may unconsciously be having certain patterns being run. Some of those patterns could be passed down to you. Maybe parents or people growing up or you're growing up around didn't have good money associations. So there might be like, oh, money doesn't grow on trees. It's the root of all evil. Those aspects of that conditioning will create self-sabotage. And of course, we're talking about money here, but you can change this to anything. Bad relationships growing up, witnessing it, you may create it in your own life, like as a theme or as a pattern. But going back to the money example, because it's the easiest one I can think of right now, you might even be thinking unconsciously, well, if I earn money, people might be wanting to ask money from me. More wealthy I get, the more the family or friends might see that and try to pull me down or ask for that money. You might actually be thinking, oh, I've got to pay more taxes. Now, consciously and logically, you might think that's actually a good thing. But unconsciously, that losing money or giving it away to a degree will make you self-sabotage the ability to acquire that money. So those worries and doubts in your mind, the negative drawbacks, will create self-sabotage if you do not deal with them. So you have to write down every possibility of a negative drawback. If I get in a relationship, I might lose my freedom. So that might be a true aspect. You might have to prioritize. You might not be your only priority anymore. But be conscious of it. Even if you think, yeah, I can deal with it, be aware of it, because your unconscious mind may not be okay with it. So how do we solve it? Having written them down, you do two things. Number one, you either be at peace and acknowledge and kind of suggest to yourself, like, even though I'm going to get this goal and there's this drawback, A, B, C, and D, I'm at peace with that unconscious mind because I'm going to gain X, Y, Z. So you really start to acknowledge and become at peace with them. The other thing you can go ahead and do is come up with solutions to them. Let's say, for example, you want to be a movie star, a celebrity, a singer. Well, there's negative drawbacks to that. Lack of privacy. Maybe people are after your money again. Maybe you're making new friends who maybe don't have the best interest for you. That beneath the surface will self-sabotage you if not dealt with. So then, if you become aware of them, you go, okay, how am I going to make sure that even though I have a lack of privacy in one area of my life, what else can I do to create that privacy? How can I manage it? Or how can I come up with a solution of having privacy in a different way? So that means my unconscious mind is either at peace or there's a possibility of a solution to it. And as you can tell, that will reduce the resistance to getting your goal and outcome. Even if it's about promotion. You might be thinking, well, if I get that promotion, I'm going to have more responsibilities. I'm going to have to report to people more. I'm going to have to maybe speak to many more people or make some hard decisions. That level of resistance might be creating that imposter syndrome. So therefore, you want to make sure that you can be at peace, that when you step up to the next level, you've got things either that you've become at peace with them, or you've generated a form of solution should it arise. Then your unconscious mind is like, well, now it makes sense to get to where I want to be. So really be aware of the consequences, become at peace with them, or come up with solutions. And when I say become at peace knowing that there's more to gain despite the loss. This outcome's going to give me so much more. And yeah, I know there's a little bit of negative drawback there, and I'm at peace with that. Now, the other thing is, you may be actually self-sabotaging because the goal that you've chosen, and like on the last episode, let's change it to outcome. Outcome is far more powerful than goal. But let's just say you have a big outcome. The bigger the outcome, the further away it will feel. It's like looking up at the huge mountain that might go, oh my goodness, that's a little bit overwhelming. I've got to go all the way up there. That's going to create a conflict. That's going to create scarcity. So the bigger the goal, the bigger the resistance, usually. I'm not going to say all the time, but usually. Some people thrive off that, and that's something to be learned for. I mean, we can really model people like that to really level up. But more often than not, the bigger the goal, the bigger the resistance, because it's farther away from us. So having big goals might make you feel so overwhelmed that you just give up, or you go, I can't do this. It's too hard. And once again, if you're not saying that consciously, maybe unconsciously, it is actually happening. So how do we deal with that? Well, I love big goals. I have huge goals myself, but what I do to be able to manage that level of scarcity, because I do not have it, I come up with alternative smaller goals along the way. To paint an analogy in your mind or a metaphor, imagine that you're in a hot tub. I know, weird analogy, metaphor. But imagine you're in this hot tub and it's so comfortable. It's just like perfect body temperature. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. It is just good and great. But let's say you have that big goal of getting into that huge hot tub even, and when you go and try to get into it, it is boiling hot. You're like, oh, I can't handle that. It's too hot to handle. That then makes you go, well, I'm just going back to my usual one, my comfort zone of a hot tub. But we still want to get to that big, really hot one. It's more glorious, it's more luxurious, it's warmer. That's where you want to be. That's the big outcome. What am I going to do? I'm going to create smaller, or starting off small in a way, and building up to bigger, more luxurious hot tubs. Like I said, weird analogy, but it'll make sense. So let's just say we have where we are to where we want to be, our outcome. Between that, we might have 5 other hot tubs, and each one is warmer than the previous one. So when you get out of your present one into the next one ahead of you, it is slightly warmer. It's manageable. It doesn't take too long to get accustomed to. Then when you get used to that one, you get into the next one. It's a bit bigger, it's a little bit warmer, but it's not a big leap. Then you go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then by the time you get to that big outcome, that wonderful hot tub you always wanted, You get into it and it doesn't feel that bad at all. In fact, it feels good. Now let's put it back into reality. You have your big outcome. I want to be able to create milestones along the road to get to that outcome. This is going to happen in two forms. One is going to be a quick win. So if I achieve something along the way, it gives me more self-certainty and self-belief. It's not too hard. It pushes me a little bit, but if I get that, it's going to make me feel better. Let's change it into the money analogy. If I want to earn $1 million per month, that might me feel too overwhelming, fearful, scarcity. Maybe I'm only earning $4,000 a month. Well, maybe my next goal should be, say, $6,000. That seems easier to me. That seems more manageable, right? Then, once I hit that target, I'm going to go, well, now I'm on that level. I'm going to aim for 10. Now 10 I've got, and then we progress. Each step along the way is more than the previous, but it gives you a challenge, but it feels more achievable. You see, the big leaps are only achieved via the small steps. If you look at every amazing person in the world who's had breakthroughs, the actors, the sports people, they may have had some good talent, but it was the fine tuning of the small steps that we do not see. They're everyday things that they do to refine themselves, to cultivate themselves. So we have to do the same. It builds up momentum. It feels more achievable. It reduces or limits or lets go of all the scarcity, worry, and doubt. So if we really think about our goal and outcome, yes, we can have big ones, but make sure you're doing something small which leads that momentum and that building up. Once that happens, it feels easy. You're more in a flow state, you're free of resistance, and you're really making things happen. Those steps is going to significantly reduce or stop all self-sabotage. The overview here I want you to get as well is that you are unconsciously self-sabotaging not for anything bad. It might be perceived as bad, because it sure doesn't feel good to kind of give up or feel self-sabotage, but your unconscious mind is always doing it for a positive intention. In fact, that's the only thing I really work with, positive intentions, because if I can change that unconsciously with my clients, my people going to my program, then I can get the unconscious mind on your side. I can get your unconscious mind to see the error in its ways and up-level a new level of safety and protection. Therefore, it's working for you. Therefore, you are in alignment, you are whole, and you are free to go wherever you desire in your outcomes. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of simple tips, things you can instantly apply to let go of self-sabotage, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next episode. And once again, if you need our support, if you want to be on our team in getting to your outcome and living a life of emotional freedom, go to josephclough.info/power, POWER, josephclough.info/power. You can watch our on-demand masterclass video there, see if you're a good fit, see if it resonates with you, because if it doesn't, then what's the point of progressing from there? But if it does resonate with you, there'll be an opportunity to book a call with us, get total clarity, see if we understand it, see if we know we can solve it, and then we might invite you into our premium program to get you to where you want to be, all within 8 weeks, and simply thrive. And beyond that, I look forward to speaking to you on a future episode with some app updates coming very, very soon as well. That's for Android and also Apple. Okay, I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.